Former Governor Kim Moon-soo has most recently served as chairman of the Political Reform Committee of the Saenuri Party. From 2006 to 2014, he served as the governor of Gyeonggi Province. Before becoming governor, he served as a member of the National Assembly, three-term lawmaker representing Bucheon in Gyeonggi Province. A former labor and democracy activist, Governor Kim is regarded as one of the few leaders in Korea who stressed the importance of both inter-Korean exchanges and the North Korean human rights issue. In 2012, Governor Kim ran in the ruling party's presidential primary to challenge then-party leader and now current president, Park Geun-hye, ultimately placing second in that race. As we were having dinner last night, the vice co-chair of our organization, Suzanne Schulte, who is also the president of the North Korea Freedom Coalition, reminded us that former Governor Kim Moon-soo has been a staunch supporter of North Korean human rights groups in South Korea and here in the United States, and we always think of him as a very good and dear friend of our organizations. Please join me in welcoming former Governor Kim Moon-soo.
It is a great honor to speak to you today, especially in front of such a special audience as we have here. Our love and compassion for the North Korean people has brought us together today. And on behalf of the politicians of the Republic of Korea, I would like to offer my deepest respect and gratitude for your noble efforts to improve North Korean human rights. Please excuse my English, and I will speak in Korean from now. I'm sorry, please.
Korean Human Rights Ambassador Jung Hoon Lee and former UNCOI Chairman Michael Kirby, who is the main player of the landmark COI report, UN Special Rapporteur on North Korea's human rights, Marzuki Darusman, Sonia Biserko, Dr. Victor Cha, North Korean Human Rights Special Envoy Robert King, Dr. Robert Cohen, President Carl Gershman of NED, Executive Director Greg Scalitu of HRNK, and North Korean human rights activists and North Korean defectors who are here with us, and US and Korean government officers and those from the press. I would like to thank you for your hard work. I also like to thank the organizers for putting this meaningful event together, CSIS, HRNK, George W. Bush Institute, and also my thanks goes to Human Liberty Center at Yonsei University from Korea. Improving North Korea's human rights is critical in addressing the North nuclear problem, bringing peace in Northeast Asia, and achieving reunification on the Korean Peninsula. Improving North Korea's human rights should be a priority pursuit in inter-Korean relations. In this regard, over the years, the international community, including NGOs, has made efforts to improve North Korean human rights record, and for this, I am deeply grateful. These days, every Tuesday, I attend rallies taking place in front of Korea's National Assembly to request the establishment of a North Korean Human Rights Act. I also met with lawmakers from the ruling and opposition parties, appealing to them that turning a blind eye to North Korean human rights abuses would be a sin to heaven. In 2005, 2004, the U.S. Congress passed its North Korean Human Rights Act, and I was so ashamed of it because what we needed to do was done by the U.S. Congress first. At the time, there was a rush of North Korean defectors who exposed in great detail horrendous human rights conditions and the situations of POWs and abductees in North Korea. However, the then Romuan government, in fear of annoying the North Korean regime, abstained or did not participate in UN votes on North Korean human rights. Thus, I submitted a North Korean human rights bill to the National Assembly on August 11, 2005. For the establishment of the North Korean Human Rights Act, I visited the U.S. Congress and human rights groups to find out the status of North Korean human rights and the background behind the establishment of the U.S. North Korean Human Rights Act. I also visited places where North Korean defectors are known to have gone. I also called for the investigation into the abduction of a Korean pastor and the situation of North Korean defectors in China by holding a press conference. Chinese security agents disrupted the proceedings and confronted us for 11 hours. I also called for the prohibition of forced repatriation of North Korean defectors and also the return of South Korean POWs by proposing 4 resolutions to the National Assembly. I also put together an exhibition about North Korea's Holocaust. When I planned to resign as a lawmaker to run for the office of Gyeonggi Provincial Governor, North Korean human rights activists, including Sujan Schulte, were against it because they were concerned that my absence would be a setback in efforts to pass the North Korean Human Rights Act. I didn't think there would be a setback. However, after serving as a governor for 8 years and coming back to the national politics, the North Korean Human Rights Act that I had presented 10 years ago still was not passed. Human rights are so noble and sacred that they should not be violated even during war. The Korean people should not dismiss the human rights of North Korean people. As for myself, I cannot understand the argument that talking about North Korean human rights would undermine inter-Korean reconciliation and peace. I wonder, reconciliation for what and peace for whom? In the shortest period of time on earth, Korea was able to achieve industrialization and democracy at the same time. This was possible thanks to the interests and support from countries which upheld freedom, human rights, and democracy. When Korea was under military dictatorship in the 1970s and 80s, the very existence of human rights groups overseas was a great encouragement for democratic movement activists like me. Based on my past experiences, in an authoritarian state, it is quite difficult to expect human rights to be improved only by those in the state. In this regard, what is important is your role, the roles of the international community in Korea, and the North Korean Human Rights Act. The UN and the international community, by way of various laws and resolutions, are working to strengthen North Korean human rights, and such movements are echoing in Korea as well. To date, 16 local governments of Korea sent their proposals to the National Assembly requesting that a North Korean Human Rights Act be established. The Korean National Assembly should promptly pass the Korean Human Rights Act. Under the military dictatorship in 1970, I was a college student and became actively involved in pro-democracy movements. I was expelled twice from college, and it took 25 years for me to finally graduate from university. When I was expelled from school, I devoted myself to labor movements. I have lived as a worker for 7 years, and due to my involvement in labor movements, I was incarcerated and tortured. I spent 2.5 years in prison. When I was in the dark prison, it was a great comfort for me to know that someone out there was thinking of me and praying for me. It shed a light of hope. Those who are with us today are the very hope going forward for desperate North Koreans. I entered the political circle in 1994 and served as a 3-term lawmaker and Gyeonggi provincial governor. At present, I serve as the chairman of the Saenuri Party's Political Reform Committee. Until last year, for 8 years, I had served as the governor of Gyeonggi province, which was divided when Korea was divided into South and North Koreas. The Imjin River and the northern part of Gyeonggi province are so close, you could see the soil of North Korea and people within the reach of a hand. Whenever I saw North Korea with the barren mountains and pitch darkness at night, I felt heavy in my heart, thinking of the sufferings that the North Korean people faced. In 2008, for the first time in South Korea, I hired North Korean defectors as government officials. And today, there are more than 40 North Korean defectors working in the Gyeonggi provincial office. In my young days, I fought for freedom, human rights, and democracy against the authoritarian state. But now I think what I have to do is to achieve democracy in North Korea and reunification. About 100,000 North Koreans are incarcerated in political prison camps, and 24 million North Koreans are suffering from starvation and hardship. In order to solve these problems, we have to achieve democracy in North Korea and unification on the Korean Peninsula. The history shows us that the regime abusing human rights would collapse without fail. I believe that if the North Korean regime insists on disregarding human rights issues, it would end up endangering itself. We have to make efforts to reform and free North Korea. Let's work together in a long journey to free and liberate North Korea. Thank you very much.